I'm your host, Ron Arenas, and today we are talking with Gayle Petrillo. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that also. We've known each other for several years through the Marana Chamber and networking and all that.
Probably close to 20.
Probably, yeah. Wow, can you imagine that?
I know, right? What were we doing back then?
But you've done so much, and you've lived such an interesting life. And just tell us a little bit about what you're up to now.
Yeah, thank you. So the short story basically is I spent 30 years in healthcare, not on the clinical side, but on the admin side, running large hospital departments, large medical groups, and so forth. And I quote retired about 8 years ago and created my own business.
Okay.
And it's an image consulting business. So we only get one opportunity to make a first impression.
Right.
And so it's all about that. Whether you're a business and, for instance, a bank, right? Your clients walk in, what do they see?
Yeah.
Are the teller stations neat and clean, or are they, messy, sloppy? Are the bathrooms clean? All of that.
Right.
To individuals, right? Because when I first put eyes on you, right, there's no talking. It's all body language. And so are you sitting there like, no, thank you? Or are you open and are you engaged? And so all of that. So
standoffish or...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I teach, coach, all of that. About 5 years ago, just before COVID, so it was 2019. It was September of 2019.
All right. Right before that.
Yeah. Right before the crash.
Yep.
I started my business. I launched with a fashion show. And I did one in 2018, and it was very small, 65 guests. It was a tiny little hotel.
Okay.
I probably had 15 exhibitors, so it was very small. And it was just to get my name out there. Mm-hmm. And so my clients were on the runway modeling clothes in their closet that I worked with them as an image consultant. Okay. What looks good on you? What are your good colors? And that kind of thing. So afterwards, it was a success. It was a fundraiser for Beads of Courage, locally founded and now international.
My mom has done stuff with Beads of Courage, yes.
Oh, I love that organization. So I had met Jean, the founder, through a mutual friend who sat on her board.
Oh, okay.
And so year one was success. Everybody's like, you got to do this again because it's Tucson. You start small, and if it's successful, it just keeps on growing.
Right, exactly.
So 2019, we held the second one, 200 people in the audience, about 60 exhibitors.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We had professional MCs from Channel 4. We had professional light, sound, music, choreographer backstage. It was a deal.
Yeah.
And so because I had known Jean about a year at this point, maybe a little longer, we were backstage while there were activities going on the runway. And I live vicariously through her. She's either in Sedona or she's in Japan, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And everywhere in between, Chicago, New York, wherever. So I just said to her, so I live vicariously through you. Where have you been? And she said, the last 3 days, I was in the burn unit working with children with burns and their parents in Phoenix Children's Hospital.
Wow, yeah.
I looked at her, my mouth opened, tears flowed, and no words would come out. And as that was simultaneously happening, they were calling me to the podium on stage.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, I'll be back. I got those words out. I go to the podium, and I had my, your whole speech ready to go. And I look in the audience. A lot of people in the 200 I didn't know. My husband was really the only one at the time who thought he knew my whole story. And so I'm standing at the podium, and literally the tears are just streaming and the mascara is running. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I was backstage with Jean. She mentioned she just spent time with burn survivor kids. I wish I had had that kind of support when I was burned as a toddler.
Yeah.
You could hear a pin drop.
I bet.
There was tea and coffee and sandwiches and noise, and literally everything stopped.
Wow.
So I took a breath and then just went on with the program. So I come off stage, I greet people as they're leaving, thanking them for coming. And this one woman in the audience who I didn't know, who a lot of people in town know, Kathy Bell. She has her own nonprofit.
Right.
So Kathy comes up to me and she said, "Girl, you have a story to tell." And I'm like, no, I don't. Happy to learn yours. She said, well, let's go to coffee. So long story short, that was September 12th of 2019. By Christmas, she had my whole story out of me. And she's like, you have to write a book. And I said, I don't have a story. I don't have a book. And I'm certainly not sharing what I've shared with you. COVID hit late February, early March. Business, there was none. Networking, there was none.
Right.
So I
Couldn't do your fashion show.
No, exactly. Year 3 never happened.
Yeah.
So my husband's a journalist. He's worked out of home 7 years. So I go into his office and I look at him and I said, so how do you write a book? And I was interrupting him. He was busy. He was in the middle and he's typing away and he just looks up at me. And you have to know, my husband's like my most avid supporter. We're best friends. We're celebrating 45 years of marriage in May.
Wow, congratulations.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
So we've been together a long, long time. So he looks up and, he's like, what? And I said, how do you write a book? And he said, well, just sit at the computer and type. Like, okay, you're done, right? Go away. So I did. For several months, I just sat and I typed. And one day, several months later, I walked into his office with a stack of papers. And he's like, what's that? I said, that's my book. Would you read it? And that's the look I got.
Yeah. Like you actually did it.
Like you did it.
Yeah.
And so he read it and he's like, this is really a book. We have to publish this. So I found a publisher. So there's in publishing, there's a catch-22, right? If you have an agent, you get a publisher.
Sure.
If you don't, you don't. If you don't have a publisher, you can't get an agent. So I started sending all these inquiries out, and I sent one to this woman who owns her own publishing business, been in business a very long time, and it's a hybrid.
Okay.
Part traditional, part self-publishing.
Oh, okay.
And within minutes of me sending off the email with a synopsis, right, like a chapter of the book, she got back to me and she said, my son was injured as a toddler. I have to be the one to do your book.
Wow.
Yeah. Right? So my book was published the following year, March of my birthday on 2021, I think.
Okay.
And that was the accident. And I didn't bring a copy. That was translated into Spanish.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that is more for young adults. And I actually read it to kids 8th grade and 6th grade, I guess, 6th grade and up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My new book, all the secrets are out. There's no secrets anymore. My husband read the manuscript of this book and said, I didn't know this. I didn't know this. Why did you never tell me that? It was hidden so deep. Right, I kept my secret of being burned as a toddler accidentally for over 60 years.
Wow.
We all have secrets. You know that weight sitting on your shoulder until you share it with somebody?
Yeah.
Even if it's, I'm throwing my wife a surprise party and she can't know, it's a secret. And it weighs heavy on you until you release that burden, right? So I carried that burden around with me growing up with fears and phobias, rational and irrational, body image issues. 40% of my body was burned.
Oh.
Scalded. Yeah. So what happened, my mom took me to a grown-up tea party at a neighbor's house.
Okay.
It was late fall, so it was cold. We were in upstate New York. The leaves were on the ground, and she wrapped me in a snowsuit, heavy, thermal-like snowsuit. So we go, we're playing outside in the leaves. We come in, we can smell the fresh cookies coming out of the oven. The hostess had just put a 40-cup percolated pot of coffee on the table, and hot chocolate for the kids was coming. And I tried to get up, and I remember it was a higher table than this, and it was like a picnic table bench with a bench against the wall and then chairs on the other side. And so I tried to boost myself up. I put my hands on the table, and I reached for one of those cookies, and I toppled the pot of coffee off the table and all over me.
Oh, wow.
So 40% of my body was scalded. I was in the hospital for months. My parents didn't know if I would live or die. Obviously, I lived. Now I know why I'm here.
Right.
I'm supposed to share my story.
Exactly.
So I actually have a sister because my parents didn't think I would survive. So my mom took my dad by the hand one day when I was napping in the hospital, and she said, we have to go home and make a baby because ours may not survive.
Wow.
So literally 9 months and about 1 day later, my sister was born. So now with my book, my 3 books actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to translate this into Spanish or not. I'm thinking I probably will. And I've been telling my story now for about 3.5 years, basically to anyone who'll listen, but Kiwanis, Rotary, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, book clubs. I've been a keynote speaker for Tucson International Academies for their graduation last year. 500 people in my audience.
Really?
Whoa. Yeah. Who would have ever thought? If you had told me 8 years ago I'd be doing this kind of thing, I would have laughed at you. First of all, I was so shy, right? I was very self-confident, conscious, not self-confident. And growing up, I did everything I could to be invisible. I never raised my hand in school. I didn't want attention drawn to me. So people either thought I was not very smart or a stuck-up snob or whatever because I walked around like this.
Yeah.
I couldn't look someone in the eye.
Right.
And I didn't raise my hand. And so now the new me, the last almost 5 years, has emerged very self-confident. I stand up, and what I'm finding, excuse me, whether I talk one-on-one with someone or with a room full of 500 people, inevitably one or more people come up to me and say, so I don't wear shorts because I was burned on the leg, or I only wear long sleeves because I was burned on the arm. And I've never told anyone that before. So what I've learned over this time is by sharing our story, we heal.
Yeah.
We also give people permission for them to share their stories.
Right.
Because we all have them.
Yeah.
And by sharing our stories and our secrets, we're unburdened.
Yeah. It must be incredibly freeing
to
just get those emotions out.
And to write. I just had breakfast with a gal this morning, and she's like, I can't wait to read your book. And we've known each other probably close to 20 years.
Okay.
And she just had a death in her family. She just lost her mom, and she's struggling, as we all do. I lost my mom 18 months ago. And I said, you may not want to write a book, but have you ever thought about journaling? And she just looked at me and she said, journaling? I've never thought about that. I said, well, writing my book was so cathartic. Did you write a diary as a kid, right? As a 12 or 13-year-old girl? Most of us wrote diaries, sealed them every night, locked them, put them somewhere where parents wouldn't find them.
Right.
And she said, I did, but I've not written since. She's like, I want anyone to see what I've written. I said, you don't have to share it with anybody.
Yeah.
Your husband doesn't even need to know when he goes to bed at night or somewhere, go into the closet and just write. And you can burn it after you write it. You can shred it at your office after you write it.
Right.
Or you can put it on a thumb drive and hide your little thumb drive somewhere that nobody will show it.
Yeah.
But it's so cathartic to write. And there's no rules. It can be 3 words. It can be 30 words. It can be 300 pages. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to flow consistently. It's that you're taking the time to put words on paper.
Right.
Virtual paper or real paper.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, thank you. I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. So that's the thing. If we can help somebody grow, heal, isn't that what we're on this earth to do?
That's right. Yeah.
So
to be here for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Support one another, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Well, with that, let's take a quick sponsor break, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
Spring is here and the hot summer temperatures are not far away. Your air conditioning system is one of the biggest expenses in your house. Maintaining your air conditioner is critical to keeping you cool all summer long. Protect your investment by calling Picturox Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing at 520-492-0748 or picturoxcooling.com for fast, friendly, and professional service you deserve.
Picturox Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
TRAC stands for Therapeutic Ranch for Animals and Kids. It's a favorite service organization for the Wakies to support. Track, located at Dodge and River, is a one-of-a-kind ranch that offers children of various needs an opportunity to serve through interaction with animals. It's a win-win for children and all of our beloved animals. Track is eligible for your Arizona tax credit donations now through April 15th. To find out how to get a dollar-for-dollar credit off your Arizona tax bill and help kids and animals, head over to tracktucson.org and go to the Support Track page to find out more. Make sure you tell Track my boy Smooch the Mini Donkey sent you.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
All right, we are back. What an amazing story. I mean, just for you to come out, the courage for you to come out and tell your story to everyone, and it helps everyone that hears it. You went from a corporate setting of, like you said, writing policies and procedures to writing your own book. That's something that you never thought you were going to do.
Wasn't the slightest hint in my life. Like, that was never a bucket list item. It was never, my husband's the writer. Mm-hmm. He could do his thing. That was never my thing.
Yeah.
But when you're ready to share and those opportunities happenstance, take advantage of them.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's what I've learned, among many, many other things in the last several years, is just take the opportunity when you get it.
Yeah.
When you're ready.
Right. And not only that, but the people that come into your life.
Oh.
Like you said, your publisher, that was the right person to come into your life at that exact time.
Exactly.
Because she said, I have to publish your book.
Yeah.
Because of these reasons.
Right. And I had gotten several no's prior to that, and it was just the right time for both of us. And you're right, too. The people I have been fortunate to meet.
Yeah.
And when I wrote this book, I give accolades to my mentors, and I mention the ones I remember, at least, in there. Because even though they didn't know they were mentoring me, it was never a conscious thing. None of us knew that this is what it would turn out to be. And so I owe so many people so much gratefulness and appreciation for supporting me, just doing their job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, mentoring is such a great thing. And when you're young, you're getting mentored by a bunch of different people, your coaches, your bosses, your parents, your aunts and uncles, grandparents. And then at flip side, when you get older and you're the one mentoring people. And it's so important. It's so important to do both of them and recognize both of them.
I agree. We need to do more of that, I think. It's kind of a lost art.
Yeah.
To intentionally, what do you need? How can I help you?
Right.
Right? Especially with the younger generation. They don't know what they don't know. We didn't know what we didn't know.
Of course. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, when we were 18, we knew everything.
Of course we did.
And then we bought our own house and got our, had our family, and we're like, oh, we don't know that much.
We don't, right.
Hey, Mom.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. It's so funny. And then it comes full circle, right?
Yeah.
Because the kids are like, you know nothing. Don't tell me what to do. And then they come back with their kids and go, that's why you said that.
Exactly.
Right? They're using the same phraseology that we used on them with their kid. Like, it's so funny, that full circle thing.
Yeah, it is. So tell us a little bit more about this book, because this book just came out, right?
It did. It's been out about 3 weeks.
Okay.
It's my full story. So it's, like I said earlier, it's all the secrets put out there.
Okay.
So
Is it a continuation of your first book?
no,
Or no,
it's not. They're standalone.
Okay.
Some of the stories in the first book are repeated in here because I don't expect people to have to buy both books or want to buy both books. They're really intended for two different audiences. This book
okay.
is definitely an adult version because as a burn survivor, even though the public doesn't see my scars, I know they're there.
Right.
So part of my lack of confidence and so forth growing up was because when I looked in the mirror, I saw myself as damaged goods. And growing up, I felt that's how everybody saw me. And so, in fact, growing up, I covered the mirrors in my room a lot just because I didn't want remembrances of that. So this book talks about how we live our lives and the experiences we have as young people, as teenagers. It's hard for everyone to be a teenager.
Sure, it is.
Well, and because you've got the hormone thing going and you've got the parents trying to tell you what to do and you want your independence and
all the pressure, all the peer pressure.
absolutely
Yeah.
more so today than when we grew up. But anyway, that's an aside.
Well, thank goodness that we didn't have the camera phones back then.
Oh my gosh. I think the kids are born with it in their hand
They
now,
are.
but that's another story.
But we probably got away with a lot more back then.
We probably did, yeah. I know we were told to go ride our bikes and not come home until it was dark and dinner time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot has changed. But as a burn survivor, we hide. It doesn't matter if you can see our scars or not. And I was fortunate 2 years ago, October will be 2 years, the Arizona Burn Foundation sponsored my husband and I to go to the International World Burn Congress held by Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors. They're out of the Midwest. It was such an eye-opening experience to meet people one-on-one with very visual scars,
Oh, okay.
lack of joints and fingers and all kinds of things. And you learn that while we all think we have it bad, we are never alone.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one of the consistencies throughout this book, is that no matter what you're going through, we all go through stuff. We all get divorced. We all experience some trauma in our life.
Sure.
And we need to remember that we're never alone. There's always somebody going through something similar, if not the same thing. We just don't know it because we keep it in.
Yeah.
And so this book talks about dating, and it talks about my first marriage, and it talks about being a stepmom, and all those experiences. And then it comes full circle to present day when I lost my mom and how that felt and my experiences with that grieving. And last summer, I took an amazing 22-day Alaskan cruise with friends and a girlfriend because my husband did not want to do that. And that is all in there. And it was an experience taught to me about take advantage of living the experiences.
Yeah.
You know, we all have to worry about money and, you know, what are we making? What are we doing with our money? And are we supporting our families and all of that? But if we get an opportunity to experience something like I did, it was an amazing trip, once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
So that's what this book is about.
All right.
Encouragement, inspiring. You can do it too, because I never thought I could do it.
Yeah. So how do people find that book, and how do people get a hold of you for your career coaching?
Yeah, thank you. So my website is www.first, spelled out, impressions, plural, one.com.
Firstimpressionsone.com.
Yes. And then the book is through BookLocker. So it's booklocker.com /11, no, it's not, sorry, 13819 for this book.
Okay.
Booklocker.com /13819.
Okay.
And the accident, if you have younger kids that you want to read or see if that book is appropriate for their age group, that is booklocker.com /1, I won't remember it now.
This one's Becoming Visible. This is the adult version. What is the more kid-friendly version?
The Accident.
The Accident.
And then El Accidente in Spanish for those Spanish-speaking people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gayle, for joining me today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too. All right. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
Spring is here and the hot summer temperatures are not far away. Your air conditioning system is one of the biggest expenses in your house. Maintaining your air conditioner is critical to keeping you cool all summer long. Protect your investment by calling Picturox Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing at 520-492-0748 or picturoxcooling.com for fast, friendly, and professional service you deserve.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
TRAC stands for Therapeutic Ranch for Animals and Kids. It's a favorite service organization for the Wakies to support. TRAC, located at Dodge and River, is a one-of-a-kind ranch that offers children of various needs an opportunity to serve through interaction with animals. It's a win-win for children and all of our beloved animals. TRAC is eligible for your Arizona tax credit donations now through April 15th. To find out how to get a dollar-for-dollar credit off your Arizona tax bill and help kids and animals, head over to TRACTucson.org and go to the Support TRAC page to find out more. Make sure you tell TRAC my boy Smooch the Mini Donkey sent you.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
All right, welcome back to Southwest Flavor. Our next guest is Carlos Apodaca with C3 Solar Solutions.
How's it going, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good.
We have a long history of sitting next to each other at basketball games.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Ron Arenas is the loudest person in McHale. You actually cannot hear the whistles blow because he's so loud. No, it's not true.
I think it's that other guy that sits next to
Maybe.
me. It might
could
be. Yeah, the guy that's standing up and yelling at everyone.
Yeah, he's very profane and screaming, and yeah, it could be that guy.
Yeah. I think you're what they call a fanatic.
Oh,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Been watching U of A sports since birth, it feels like.
And you went to the U of A also,
Yeah.
right?
I sure did, yeah.
All right.
How about you? Did you go there?
I did not. I did not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been going to U of A sports since I was a little kid, since my dad had season tickets. We were nosebleed in football.
Okay.
And then eventually the north end zone, now the south end zone, and eventually basketball. Now I do baseball as well.
Okay.
A little bit of everything, man.
Yeah. I remember my dad had season tickets for football.
Yeah.
Way back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to sit there, and then we've been football season ticket holders for probably, I don't know, 25, 30 years.
Okay.
And then basketball season ticket for probably about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And football, we're in the 40-some year.
Really?
Yeah. Because
Wow.
I was literally like my dad over his shoulder.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I remember going up the nosebleeds, the wind up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But now, we're at section 32, row 1 and 2. I know all my seats,
Man.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, tell us what you're up to now.
So basically I kind of evolved a solar business.
Okay.
And what that means is I started studying it about 4 years ago. And I kind of noticed that, you get all these door knockers and
Yes.
what's the difference between this guy and that guy? Why are they better than that guy? And
Well, they kind of got a bad reputation. They're
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
the fly by night,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then another thing I noticed too was like you would see companies open and close and why and what's going on. And so back in, oh gosh, what years was it? I think it was 2018 or 19. A friend of mine said, hey, you should join this company. And I was still trying to kind of find myself because in 09, prior to that, I was just doing interior design, wearing suits every day, looking pretty.
Really?
Yeah. And then in 09, the crash happened. The company closed.
Okay.
And then I tried real estate for a couple years, wasn't digging it. And then I started doing the remodeling thing here and there, very small. And so my friend Pete was like, hey, you got to come see this. Ironically enough, we're all doing the training in Tucson, Arizona, so you get to stay in your own bed.
Yeah.
So this was a big company with solar and security and cell phone, and they were all trying to sell these packages to people.
Okay. Like a franchise or?
No, it was just like a big corporation merging between Sprint, Smart Home Pro, like a bunch of different companies.
Okay.
But it got deregulated. So we went through one summer of training. I learned so much. And then when we're ready to go, it got deregulated. They wouldn't let it fly. I was like, well, that was a big waste, I thought. But I stayed friends with these people. And so time went by. And then my friend Pete was like, hey, man, I'm in the solar game. You got to check this out. So there's a company based out of Phoenix. So I looked into it and I was like, oh. So then I started studying them individually to see what set them apart from the rest.
Right.
And their ethics, the way they did things. And I was like, okay, this is different. And I started meeting the people around them, really liked them, and was working with them for months, like maybe 6. And next thing you know, their doors are closing. And we're talking a really big company that was on the Inc. 500 list, like all these accolades. They're all over magazines. And I was like, okay, they're on the up and up. And so then
What year was that?
Last year.
Oh, okay.
About a year ago, yeah. So then I'm like, what does that mean for me? And what does that mean for my business and whatever? Because I wanted to start my own like franchise. And so it basically said, closing doors. And that's it. And that's just part of the business. Some people buy people out or shut other people down.
Yeah.
You don't know the back end stuff, what they're doing.
Right, exactly.
And so I got to meet a really good guy, and I study character very much. And in the background, I was kind of looking at this guy. I'm like, he knows what he's talking about, this one particular individual. Sean Williams. And so I was like, wow,
shout out to
Sean. Yeah, my partner. And so, as we were, as going through, and I'm like going to him for the questions, he's basically like, every time they were training, they go, right, Sean? I was like, okay, he's the brain.
He's kind of the Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. What a great analogy. I'm going to start calling him that. I also call him Shonathan and Wanathan. His name has evolved, and he gets really annoyed. He's a very calm guy. And so anyway, as time went on, I'm like, I want to try something different. And can we start a company that basically only works with the best companies? Like a solar broker.
Yeah.
So like insurance brokers, they deal with all these different companies. Same thing.
Okay.
So we start like studying all these different solar companies, why we're going to pick this one and this one and this one. Okay, well, they're around. They've been around. They're not going anywhere. They're starting to do their own financing. Like when you get to another realm, then you're like, okay, that's very concrete.
Yeah, they're stable.
Yeah. It's like if you want to open a Foot Locker, who are going to have here? Nike, Reebok, Adidas.
Right.
Like who's going to stay here?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. So we found these companies that work really well. And then we found companies like, that's not a good business practice. That's kind of off.
Yeah.
And also installation rate. We depend on that. So if we tell someone we're going to get this done, we want it done soon, not in 6 months from now.
Yes.
Or there's a piece done. Next piece is in a month.
Yes.
We even did a system. I shouldn't tell this because expectations are high, but we did I think it was like a 15 kilowatt system in one day.
Oh, wow.
And that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And so, and I shouldn't be saying that kind of, people expect, but again, it gets done very quickly.
Just everything came together.
Right.
It was a perfect storm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that company was called Our World, and we've been working with them and doing a lot of great things, and they're kind of sweeping us off our feet right now. So, it comes down to the financing and all that stuff. But once I started to really, I'm kind of going ahead of myself. I started learning more about solar. I wanted to make sure there was a benefit to it because I'm never going to try to sell anything that I don't back up.
Right.
And so as I see how it works, it really does benefit people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other solar companies that are like car salesmen, pow, pow, that type of thing. And I don't work like that. I don't knock any doors. I've never knocked a door. being that I also have my own construction business, I kind of work with people there, gain trust, tell them this is what I would do.
Right.
And in solar, there's two facets. You could own and you could also lease.
Yeah.
And it all depends on what kind of your lifestyle is, where you are financially. But either way, you are saving money.
Yeah.
And then people always wonder, well, how does solar work? And you're not going to see a great immediate savings. So what I tell people is, what do you pay rent for your home? And they go, I don't pay rent. I'm like, right? So why not? Well, I have a mortgage. So why do you rent your electricity? And it's crickets. It's the exact same thing. So, and say that your rate today is like $250. Maybe we could bring it down to $200. That's not crazy savings. But if it's $200 in 20 years, it's still $200.
Right.
And everyone else is $1,200.
Yeah.
There's
That's
the
a huge savings.
Right. It's huge.
So return on your investment.
Exactly. And it works just like a mortgage.
Yeah.
And so then right now there's tax rebates. There's basically a 30% tax rebate you can get that, once you get solar, you get 30% of that back. It also depends how much you make, if it's pushed out a couple years or not.
Yeah. You can carry that over for a few years.
Right. Exactly. And then also with that, what people don't know is, say your roof is bad and you're like, hey, I can't afford that right now. Well, that's okay. We could put that into the solar package, whether it be air conditioning, air conditioning, heating, roof, windows, and insulation. Not a lot of people go the insulation route, but being that we could work nationally with anyone. So say you're in North Dakota, it goes really cold up there, we could re-insulate the home or find a subcontractor out there that could do that for us.
Well, even here in Arizona, it makes a lot of sense to have the proper insulation because it's so hot here during the summer.
Exactly. But, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't think of it like that. They think cold only.
Yeah.
But being the heat, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. I mean, I live in a house that was built in 76.
Okay.
So the insulation is not real good.
Or there. Yeah. So you probably have an R9, R10 factor. Is it brick?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a brick house.
Mine's a 62.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's an R9 factor.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I had to change things up to make it a little more efficient. So
yeah. We put new windows in and everything, but yeah, when we had our roof redone, we put more insulation in there.
There you go.
Yeah. Just helps keep that heat out and that cool air in.
Yeah. And there's a lot of little tricks too that I personally, being in the construction end, we have, our license also in the roofing area, so we could take care of all of that into one. Yeah. And then you're nothing out of pocket. You literally like, let's get this done. We get the financing done. You essentially are paying for your roof, but it's not like you're paying a little bit of that monthly bill.
Yeah.
And say it was $250 down to $200, maybe you're like paying $215. Right. And then it pays for that roof.
But it stretches it out.
Right. Nonetheless, you're still saving money. And then you could also write that off. 30%.
Right.
So
you're writing off that whole loan
package. Right. Correct.
The whole package. Yeah.
Right. So it is a benefit. If anyone's ever selling you solar and they want money up front, just close the door. Like just say bye-bye, because that is not a culture that anyone's doing right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we really haven't seen any door knockers in probably the last year, maybe 2 years since the interest rates have gone up.
Right.
Yeah. It used to be like a daily thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same in my neighborhood, but it hasn't slowed down.
Really?
Last week I got about 5 or 6.
Wow.
And then I kind of laugh because I tell them, and I show them.
We've had a couple, and I'm like, look on my roof, and there's solar up there.
Okay. Oh, weird.
Yeah. But
they're just Or when people knock on my doors for windows, I have new windows. And I'm like, just locked right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's just, my goal is to help people and just save money. And that's the thing that's really the goal that I have in mind, because I'm an advocate more for the customer, not for the solar company. So,
right. Yeah. It makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Well, with that, let's take a quick sponsor break, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
Spring is here, and the hot summer temperatures are not far away. Your air conditioning system is one of the biggest expenses in your house. Maintaining your air conditioner is critical to keeping you cool all summer long. Protect your investment by calling Picturox Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing at 520-492-0748 or picturoxcooling.com for fast, friendly, and professional service you deserve.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing.
TRAC stands for Therapeutic Ranch for Animals and Kids. It's a favorite service organization for the Wakeys to support. TRAC, located at Dodge and River, is a one-of-a-kind ranch that offers children of various needs an opportunity to serve through interaction with animals. It's a win-win for children and all of our beloved animals. TRAC is eligible for your Arizona tax credit donations now through April 15th. To find out how to get a dollar-for-dollar credit off your Arizona tax bill and help kids and animals, head over to TRACTucson.org and go to the Support TRAC page to find out more. Make sure you tell TRAC my boy Smooch the Mini Donkey sent you.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
All right, we are back talking with Carlos Apodaca with C3 Solar Solutions.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we were looking at solar, it took us a couple of years. My wife wasn't convinced, and I'm a numbers guy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so the guy that came in and talked to us, I mean, he basically just laid out all the numbers and said, this is why it's going to make sense. Whether you like it or not,
Right,
you know, one of her big things was aesthetics. You know, she's like, I don't want those things on my roof. I don't want to pull into the house and see those things on the roof, which you really don't see them too much at our house. But, you know, I needed the numbers to make sense.
Right.
And they did.
Right.
They did. Like you said, if you're paying $200 right now and you save a couple bucks, you know, for the next 18 months or whatever,
Right.
but energy is going to keep going up and your bill on the solar is going to stay the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty scary to see what these utility companies are doing.
Yeah.
It used to be that on average, an increase was every 4 years.
Yeah.
Now it's for a year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then people don't realize that, and they are like, "Oh, I need to cut down." It's not you.
No.
It's them.
Yeah.
You know, like a bad relationship. It's not you, it's me type of thing.
Well, it's cost per kilowatt hour.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you could cut down some, but you're still paying a lot more per kilowatt hour.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then people don't realize that. Like I just got, particularly, I don't actually have solar in my house yet because I want to do some add-ons to my house and I want to put it on the add-ons, not the primary part of it.
Yeah.
But my bill right now, and my house is small, was like $250. I was like, wow. And I'm using a lot less.
Yeah.
So it was give or take about 200 because it's not a very efficient home. And I was like, wow. But yeah, I got to get my house situated, but I will have solar. So people are like, how come you don't have solar? I'm like, I have a plan. I'm building stuff. So it'll get there. It'll get there. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate that, you know, certain utility companies could just keep on raising their rates like a kid in a sandbox, changing the game every time they play.
Yeah.
And
well, it all goes through the Arizona Corporations Commission and they keep approving it. So,
and that's the crazy thing about it because they keep buying new trucks. They keep, you know, this giant building downtown, wink, wink. And then all these different things. And you're like, wow. And
who's paying for all that stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's really weird how you learn how to read a bill over time because most people don't.
Yeah.
I did it. And then once I learned and went through some training, it's like, wow, I'm paying all these surcharges for things that actually don't exist.
Yeah.
Infrastructure tax and all these different things. It's like, well, my poles have been here the whole time I've lived here, never been changed.
Right.
So, right.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate to see that there's just a lot of wiggle room for them to raise prices.
Yeah.
And so that's my whole thing is just stop renting your electricity.
Yeah.
You know, buy it and get disconnect a little. You don't fully disconnect, but at the same time.
Yeah.
Save yourself some money.
Yeah, save yourself a lot of money over time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the technology has gone so much better.
Yes.
Yeah.
The amount of kilowatts per panel.
Yeah.
We only deal with companies that use the microinverters. What that means is each panel has one of these, and it's kind of like Christmas lights. You might get a row or the array where one goes bad, the whole row goes bad.
Right.
So we don't have that. So if one
Those
goes
old
bad,
incandescent Christmas lights. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the LEDs don't do that.
Right,
So
exactly.
when it goes off, it's the one. Same with the panels. And all these companies have, the new technology of you could check your rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can go on your app and you can see everything.
Exactly. So if one goes down, especially when they're warranty, they just come out and say, okay, fixed, done, bye.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And a lot of these companies offer, between 20 and 25 year warranties, and it just depends. But it's also good to have a new roof, even if it's about 10 years old. Some roofs have a year lifespan of 20 years.
Yeah.
Even if it's at 10 years, I would get it redone so that solar thing would last forever.
Right. That way it's on your solar's on a brand new roof.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. And your roof is one of the most important things on your house because you got to keep that weather out. You got to keep that water out of your house.
Absolutely.
Because you have water coming into your house, you have mold issues, you have drywall issues, you have paint issues, you could have carpet issues.
Well, you know this, air conditioning.
Yes.
And then you get the customer with the condensation line.
Yep.
Yeah, so it drips in there somewhere. Yeah, same thing, same animal.
Yep. So keep that water out of your house. Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think about basketball, man? Isn't it crazy?
Man, it's been a crazy week.
Number one recruiting class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The environment has changed so much in college sports.
Yeah.
You basically have to start over every year.
Yeah.
You don't have those 2, 3, 4 year kids.
No more Chase and Terry's.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You have to have a game plan. You've always had to have a game plan, but now it's like I'm starting over every year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got to be taxing. You know what I mean? To constantly keep your eyes out while you're coaching. Because I coached for 20 some years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine, I had a waiting list. It was different. It's not the same animal, but it's like, I kind of imagine trying to keep up with all this change, and now money's involved.
Yeah.
And it's like NIL. It is destroying the Cinderella story.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's
unfortunate, but they just, you see all these kids signing, and then you wonder, like, Vasar left, Lewis left. And I don't think there's any bad blood. It's called they were offered a check.
Yeah.
And the rumor has
it's a business decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's at, Vasar's going to North Carolina for $1 million or $1 million plus.
Yeah.
Lewis is going to Georgetown. I don't know what that number is.
Yeah.
But I know we weren't paying him. So
that's interesting that he's going to Georgetown,
Yeah. Well, he's going to be the main guy, but he's getting paid.
Yeah, he's getting paid.
Yeah. So, which, if I were any type of player or coach, it's very simple to recruit Arizona, regardless of NIL. Just look at the history and culture.
Yeah.
We put people in the NBA. Who does? And it's a very small number.
Right.
And even if we don't have all these championships, look who's going to the NBA.
Yeah.
Every year we have a couple.
Yeah.
And
they have long careers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not there like, and even the people that you think that wouldn't be there forever, the TJ McConnells.
Yeah.
Still there. Another extension last year for another 4 years, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. He's had an amazing career for, who he is.
Yeah. And he has such a high basketball IQ.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like the backbone of the Pacers. And then Matherin comes in there and they're, hey, but yeah, it's just weird to see all, how the legacy of Arizona basketball just spread through the NBA.
Yeah.
And then, I just want to say this real quick, because people are always asking, like, how do you get tickets? Call Reggie Gary at the McHale ticket office. Stop calling me.
Shout out to Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie. Call Reggie Gary, McHale ticket office.
Reggie's both of our contacts.
Exactly. Yeah. So
what a good guy too.
He's all right. He's okay. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is. He is. I mean, he played here.
Yeah.
He has his family here now. After his playing career and coaching career.
Yeah. He got Tucson Father of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. He's a great guy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And I think his son just got accepted to some school, and I forgot which one. I'm blanking.
All right.
Yeah, I think University of Cincinnati, but I could be totally wrong on that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's weird. Finally, Braden Burry's committed.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that kid waiting for? You know what I mean? I don't know. Is it a check or I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like to us. It seemed like maybe by him waiting so long, maybe we're going to miss out on another piece of this team. But now that those core pieces are together. Now we can fill it in with the transfer portal.
Right. And then you got Koa Pete.
Yeah.
God, he's a big kid.
Yeah.
So when I watch him play, he already has man muscle at like 17.
Yeah.
And he's just pushing people around as a point guard, which unfortunately Lewis doesn't have that man muscle. He's a good player. But what Koa Pete's, wow, it's pretty amazing. And then Aristod, he's a big kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that turns out. And then they have Bryce James listed out as a 4-star. I wouldn't say
a 4-star now? Really?
Oh yeah. Everyone's 4-star. And then the last few games he had, he was kind of on fire.
Ah, okay.
Bryce James, I'm hoping.
And then with this class coming in, they probably raise his status a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I like Bryce James coming here. A lot of publicity.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Yeah. I'm just hoping he becomes like a Derek Williams story.
Yeah.
Where not a lot of expectation, just evolves into this amazing player.
Yeah.
And because Derek was a walk-on, right?
No.
Really? You sure?
He came from USC when USC fired their coach.
Right.
Right. But I think he was probably, did they have 4 and 5 stars back then, or was it a different kind of rating?
I think you were either the McDonald's All-American, the Michael Jordan Classic 12, and there's a few other things. Reebok, Marathon Oil.
Wow.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't remember if he came in on scholarship because
he was a scholarship player.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was a scholarship player. Yeah, definitely.
But he turned out a lot better than everyone thought.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Watching that Duke game where he's just dunking tomahawking on everybody. So but hopefully, James turns into a better player.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting year next year for basketball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, what do you think about football for next year?
I'm weird. I don't know because I'm starting to see little glimpses of hope.
Yeah.
And I've been watching some online practices. And the defense is looking good. The offense is looking kind of quick. We just got some new transfers. I'm like, okay, little something.
I like the 2 new coordinators.
Okay.
Yeah. I think our offensive coordinator is going to bring some more pep to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. It's interesting. So, but I'm always going to be a diehard U of A fan. I'm not a bandwagoner.
Yeah.
Like Steve Rivera knows, I cannot stand the second a game's lost or something happens. It's like fire the coach, get rid of the players. Oh gosh,
we heard that so many times this basketball season.
Oh yeah,
with Tommy.
Yeah,
like fire Tommy.
Yeah.
We're 4 and 5. Fire him.
Yeah. And then we go to a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
But that's the problem. You have a lot of armchair quarterbacks. You know what I mean? They know it all, but it's also the people that they're not donating. They're not helping with anything.
Yeah.
They're just keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard for me to just not say anything, I'm like, just scroll on by. And sometimes I chime in, but yeah.
Yeah. You're okay. You're pretty controlled online.
I know, right? But I've learned to be because also you don't have a business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things that I literally will type out a paragraph and then go delete it.
Right.
That's my therapy. Delete it. But yeah, it's unfortunate that our fan base is so bipolar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like you and I, we've been sitting next to each other for years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to have the same familiar faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But.
And you know what? And you gave me so much support. When I came back, I had, COVID for.
Oh, that's right.
And I was on oxygen and all that. Could barely make it up the stairs to my seat and all that. Yeah. And just, all the support that you showed me and everything. And,
oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, sure. Man. That was great. Cool. That was cool.
For sure, man. For sure. So. And it's sad because like my dad, he's very old. He's much older now.
Yeah.
And that's why I got those tickets in that particular area.
Yeah.
So my dad could get in, get out.
Yeah.
Now,
right by the bathrooms and everything.
Yeah, no stairs, just ramps.
Yeah.
And then now, obviously, you see my girlfriend or her kids or one of my buddies or whatever. But yeah, it's awesome. But those tickets are not cheap.
It's an investment.
It is an investment, and I never have regrets. You know what I mean? So, especially with football, I renewed mine, and who knows where we're going to go, but I still support the team.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah, it is a good time. So,
take my boys. I take some of my employees. Take friends. Yeah, whatever. Just make a Saturday night out of it.
Yeah. Eventually, I want to grow where C3 Solar gets so big. I
have your own section?
Yeah. I have a row. I want to be a Volpe where I'm down there.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a Nova section, And so, but yeah, I mean, right now, it's baby steps. I'm just trying to help people save money. And I'm just trying to get on base and not try to get rich with grand slams every day. So,
sure. Yeah, that's how business works.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
1%.
So besides the commercials that everyone sees on our podcast, how do people get a hold of you for C3 Solar Solutions?
The best way is just call me.
Okay.
I'm a very direct person. 520-954-5207. Very simple. I'm a people person. I'd like to talk. And so that's the best way to get hold of me.
Yeah.
So right now we're working on some new stuff as far as in domain names. So I'm kind of changing things up at the moment.
Okay.
But I'm still old school on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Best way.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right. That's another episode of Southwest Flavor. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. We'll see you next time.